This is episode 252 of GI Joburg entitled Drone Warfare. I am Orobo Steve. I'm joined by Paul. Robo Rob ready. And is ready and he interrupts other people. Hello.
Rob. Robo Rob.
Can you imagine doing an entire show with this voice?
Rob.
No.
Rob. Sorry, Steve.
I'm clowning the late great Daft Punk. Oh man, wasn't it around this time last year that we were, well, shocked by the news that they were done? Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But then also not shocked because they'd been so quiet after doing their previous album, so...
but they're always quiet after doing an album. Like they drop an album every decade. Yeah. Anyhow, and it's always amazing. But we're not here to talk about Daft Punk. We're here to talk about GI Joe and its relationship with drones. Now, it might be very apparent to anyone, or it might come as a surprise, but GI Joe has had drone warfare in its DNA since the very beginning, practically. Starting with the pack rats and the snake armor in 1983, there has been a procession of automated attack and utility weapons and equipment throughout the GI Joe line. And today, we're going to do an overview of, well, at least the ones in the classic ARAR line, maybe even give them a rate and a mini review, and a few notable mentions from outside the ARAR era. But first... Gentlemen.
Sorry.
What are you doing, Vapor? Is Vapor a drone? I mean, with a face like that. The Hurricane pilot certainly does look more machine than man.
He might
and maybe there is an argument to be said there, but we're talking strict drones here, not cyborgs. We'll get into the more contentious stuff in a bit. But gentlemen, another week has passed. How the hell are you?
Oh, what a week. Can I save mine for last? I want to hear you guys first.
Well,
Rob's going to talk about the weather.
Oh, hell yeah. It's been absolutely amazing. It's been nice and cold. It's been an uneventful week. I started watching Stranger Things Volume 4 or Season 4.
Oh, cool.
It's very exciting from the very start. Well, I don't know. It's Stranger Things 4. It's exciting from the very get-go. I need to keep going. Otherwise, yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. Still strong with the Force, thankfully.
Nice.
Steven, how are you?
Obi-Wan Kenobi has been on my weekly rotation, as is Season 3 of The Boys.
Oh, good. Have you started? I haven't started yet. Yeah.
What a... absolutely horrifying first episode. It just sets the tone for things to come. Yeah,
I'll be watching that after the recording.
I cannot believe Kim watches it with me. I mean, she hides her face a lot of the time, but she's a brave soul, and she keeps cursing like she's, I don't know, masochistically subjecting herself to it. Because
it's spicy food, dude.
She's like, why am I watching this? Why? I hate this so much.
Because it's spicy food, man.
Boys, is there another episode?
Those super hot noodles, those super hot Korean noodles that you get, and it says 2 times spicy. It's those. You know you shouldn't eat them, but you do, and you're like, and you cry, and you have like tissue paper with you to wipe your eyes out, but you have to be careful not to wipe your eyes with the same tissue you wiped your mouth with. Otherwise, you double die. Yeah, that's the Boys, dude.
Very painful. But speaking of pain, gents, I have an interesting quickfire topic for you both. Have you ever incurred any injuries while playing with GI Joes?
Does burning yourself or customizing them count?
I will accept. Yeah, sure. How often do you do that, Paul?
When I was a kid, we used to use lighters to create some battle effects and stuff. And you forget, that screwdriver gets a bit hot. And you don't think that it's staying hot. And then you just like, and then you grab the tip and you're like, ay! Or you do that mistake at least once. Twice, if you're feeling adventurous. And then there've been a few times where we've like melted plastic to join weapons, to sort of suture weapons together to Viper arms, or not Viper, but Cobra arms. And sometimes that plastic, you sort of have to maneuver it to try and, get that suture working. And yeah, you burn your fingers a little bit, and it sticks to
Any
your finger.
permanent scars?
Nah.
Nah. All right. Yeah. Robbie, you playing it safe, buddy?
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't. Maybe like one or two like cuts or bruises, but I mean, maybe getting a cold afterwards, like after we played in the rain or something. But other than that, I can't really think of any like major things that ever happened when we were playing, or even on my own.
I mean, we were down in the rocks, like it was a rocky bottom when we set the flag sailing, and at one point, like you were scrambling over the rocks.
Yeah, I think I bashed my knee, didn't I? I think it was my knee or something like that. Yeah.
Had a bit of a stumble because I mean, I think neither of us had any footwear.
No, not water footwear.
If you suddenly had to move and you were on a kind of a rocky bottom, it is a bit dicey. I think there was a stumble, maybe even a fall. Hey, did you fall into the water?
I think I might have actually, because actually now that you bring it up, the rocks were pretty like slimy. And you had to stay in the water with the flag, so I was the person who had to like fetch everything essentially. So like we needed something, okay, go fetch it over there, come bring it back. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, I must have at least fallen at least once, and I might have gotten a bruise from it, but nothing major. Or like stubbed a toe, but not anything where I'm like, oh god, I've bled for the Joes.
So MCDJ ACDC is in the chats talking about bug bites, and for that chat, I show you to episode 251 of GI Joburg, where I got a mosquito bite on my balls. But the update, this episode, I was scrambling around in a kind of very swampy low tide, and a super sharp shell grazed my heel and actually cut me fairly deeply. I think it would have actually bled if I didn't have it packed with river mud. So it was
hectic.
It was stopped up with gack.
Ooh, it's nice survival, fix there. Just
I don't know if that's legit. I mean, it sounds like a recipe for infection. I'm sure Dr. Kimberly would not approve. But so far, so good. Like, there's just a deep gash on my foot that isn't bleeding. It just is a flap of skin. Delicious. The things we do for our toys. But, okay, that's enough of that. Gentlemen, I have another ambush topic. This one suggested by Railroad in the Berg Force. What is your view on army building? Now, just to set the tone, army building doesn't necessarily have to be relegated to an actual army builder. Notable names in the GI Joe community who army build. We've got, obviously, Zazel Phoenix over at Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, who is on the road to getting 777 Sergeant Slaughters of various scales and lines. He's collecting wrestling figures. He's collecting Action Force. He's collecting A-Raw, the 4 initial appearances of the Sarge, be it Mail Away, Triple T, Warthog, or Slaughter's Marauders. We got others. Mike from What's on Joe Mind is a beachhead guy. He's collecting beachheads. Bobby Valor collects the original Steel Brigade. Dan from Toy Galaxy. Can anyone venture a guess as to what he army builds?
Oh, Boba Fett.
Very good, Paul. You've been listening. Boba Fett, exactly. Jason from Order of Battle.
Jason!
What does he collect? Eels version 2, but most specifically, the Robot Shark.
The Robot Shark, yeah.
Very tidy army of the Robot Shark. And his son is a scrap iron collector. He has an actual unit of, like, troops that Scrap Iron commands. Of course, they all look like him.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. It's a great base figure. Why the hell not? It's anonymous enough. You only see the mouth. So it could very well be an army builder. A very clean-shaven army builder. So the question, gents, is when did you first? It's a two-parter. When did you first build an army, and what is your view on army building for you personally, and then for the community at large? Rob?
Okay.
Oh, okay. So I guess Paul can keep quiet for a bit longer.
Apparently, nobody cares about my day or week. Fuck that.
Your lousy audio.
I don't think I've ever really tried to army build. I mean, I think other than maybe Scoop, am I army building Scoop? I don't think I'm doing it on purpose. It's just happening organically.
I'm accidentally buying all the scoops.
Well, no, I'm not like actively going out to buy more. Like, okay, yes, I did in the States. I bought 2 scoops, and then I had 3, and others have found their way to me. But it's not like I'm like going out of my way to have the biggest scoop collection in the world. I think,
but would you like to army build Scoop? That's a more pointed question.
Would I like to?
Yes.
I don't think
is this becoming a thing with you?
Maybe it is becoming a thing, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, I have my Scoop. Because the problem with Scoop is there's only one version of him. I mean, 2 technically with the convention exclusive.
I'm not seeing a problem here. If you have multiple versions, then you have to settle on which one you want to build out.
Oh, that's true. It's kind of easier to get just one. But the thing is, I love him so much that I want other people to be able to have him. So I wouldn't want to kind of like, I wouldn't say hoard him, but I want everyone to be able to have a Scoop. And then once everyone has a Scoop,
I think Hasbro in the 1980s made enough scoops to go around.
I don't think I would like to army build Scoop because I only have so much space, and I think I love the figure, but I really can't imagine owning more than a few of him. I don't know how many a few is. It's probably under 100.
Gosh, okay, Berg Force up there and GI Joburg listeners, stop sending Rob scoops.
No, you're more than welcome to. But like,
okay, send Rob scoops.
No, you're more than welcome to if you already have your own. Like, I'd rather everyone get a Scoop into their collection first before they choose to send extras. So if there are extras, you're welcome to send it to me. But yeah, I don't feel like I need to have every Scoop in the world. I feel that everyone should have a Scoop. But I think we accidentally did it with Wild Bill. I think we ended up having like 3 or 4 of that same Wild Bill from the 90s. The action core, whatever they're called. Iron
Battle Core.
Battle Core, that one. We accidentally have 3 or 4 of them for some reason. I have no idea how that happened. But I've never actively tried to army build someone.
I think he was a birthday present from multiple givers, and then some years down the line. Oh, you had one. Okay. Yeah. Then we both had one, so that made 2. And then my father, sweet man, he was in the vicinity of an old toy shop that we used to visit when I was a much younger man. I think by that stage I was in my 20s, and he found Battle Core Cavalryman Wild Bill in a shop. And he was like,
I found your jar.
Yeah, very sweet. But yeah, that was that. Do you remember, Rob? We once stumbled onto an eBay auction for 6 1985 eels.
Yes,
and they were for, it was a buy it now price of $60. And I was like, that's $10 an eel. They're complete except for obviously the hose. That's why the guy was selling them off, I suppose. But they were in great shape. The chest symbol in immaculate condition on all 6, and we jumped at that. So that, I think, was the first like instant army build that we ever had. And eels, they're an immaculate figure to have multiples of, particularly if you have any Cobra nautical equipment, a bug, a hammerhead, a moray. It just looks fantastic with as many eels as possible crammed on the hull.
I think it makes sense to a certain degree. Like, you can have a unit of certain characters. I mean, I wouldn't personally get like hundreds of the same character, but I think army building has its place. It makes your collection look more lived in and more realistic, I think, by having multiples of these troops. I think it makes sense. If we exclude
the named characters, which is really just your eccentricity. I mean, like, if you want to build out Beachhead, that's terrific, but you're only ever going to want one Beachhead to be the Beachhead character. The rest is just like your obsession with that sculpt, perhaps. Hey, Mike, Beachhead Mike. And the same goes for Sergeant Slaughter. Like, it's just a love letter to this favorite character, to want as many versions of him and as many duplicate versions as possible to build out this display, the ultimate shrine, if you will. But if we are talking about actual strict army builders, the Cobra Officer, Cobra Trooper, Crimson Guard, Snow Serpent, Eel, what is the optimum number that you would aim to have? Is it 2? Is it 4? Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 10? Is it an odd number, perhaps? Meow. Paul, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm dying to weigh in on this. Just wanted to let you guys have your moment in the sun. Okay, let me answer the first question. When did you first start army building, if you did? For me, I would say it was definitely modern era, because I really like the Alley Vipers. And I got that Cobra, a defensive Cobra Island pack, and it had that, the cool orange and blue Alley Viper. And then not long after that, the Pursuit of Cobra line came out, and it was actually a lot more like sort of economical to actually buy a case of that wave as opposed to trying to buy them individually. It actually saved me like $30 most times. So I would get like 2 Alley Vipers in some of those cases, and eventually, I think I accrued. This is the POC Alley Viper. I think I got 2 Alley Vipers in that first wave case, and I picked up, and then they sort of re-released them again, and then I got another 2. So in total, I have like 5 of them, and then I have the driver of the. I keep wanting to call it the Rage, but the modern era Rage. The name it just escapes me right now, but that came with an Alley Viper driver. So I kind of.
It's a synonym for rage.
Venom.
Fury.
Anger.
Yes, well, the Fury came out. Anyway, I got one of those guys, and then before I knew it, I actually had a squad of Alley Vipers and a really cool vehicle to tack them all onto, because a bunch of Alley Vipers on the Fury look pretty cool, actually. And then I really liked that idea, and then I thought, oh, cool, it would be nice to own maybe 1 or 2 Cobra Vipers. And thanks to POC, they also did a whole bunch of Cobra Vipers. And I've got about 5 or 6 of them, and I got about 3 Iron Grenade Steel Brigaders, and I've got some Iron Grenadiers. I got 4 of them from modern era, hey. And there was another one. Oh, and then the Cobra Troopers, because they did that fantastic resculpt of the Cobra Troopers, and then they did that desert pack. So I've got quite a few like army builders in the modern era, and I like it. I like army building, but I kind of feel like there's a point where it becomes kind of unbearable. Like, I like the idea of having like squads of like 5 guys, 5, maybe 7, you know, because it's cool to like I said, load up a Fury with Alley Vipers. It just looks really awesome, actually. And if you fill up your Terradrome with a bunch of Vipers, to me that makes sense, you know. So if you got like maybe 5 Vipers and a few other like Cobra units, you know, you got doubles or whatever, I think that looks great. But and maybe this is just a little bit of envy, but when I see these beautiful shelves packed with like 20 Vipers, 20 Crimson Guards, I kind of go, whoa, like that's a lot, you know. And I can't imagine, maybe that's why I don't have that, but I can't imagine having that many, and I can't imagine enjoying that many toys personally, you know, especially if you're not like somebody who's like a toy photographer or like us who does play motion videos. I don't see the purpose of having like that many army builders. I feel like, you know, 5 or 6 is possible. And then I think when you get to bigger figures, like maybe the classified stuff, I like the idea of having 2 Crimson Guards when the Crimson Guard comes out. I like the idea of having 2 Battle Android Troopers, because it just looks, you know, they're great in pairs. So I kind of feel like, is 2 army building? I don't know. It feels like buddy building.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. But just to talk about photography and particularly our genre, the play motion, like I find 5 is probably as many figures as you can cram into a frame and still keep it interesting. By interesting, I mean close up enough to get some acting, to get some character out of them. it's if you had an army of 10 or more, you could shoot them overhead, or you could shoot them in extreme long shots to sort of show off a wealth of figures. But like, that's just going to be an establishing shot in the old end. It's not going to be a shot that drives the action. That said, I have enjoyed having those resources for establishing shots like that. So they definitely do come in handy. That certainly fits in with the MCDJ ACDC's philosophy that 10 look good in buildings, filling chairs, at controls in playsets and vehicles. It's nice to not have to reset figures. So you've got these guys set up and they are unfixed, or they're fixed in their positions, and like you've still got some to muck around with and do the acting of the scene. Ryan sets it a little bit lower. He's a more 4 to 5 kind of guy, but you must remember he's a classified collector, so 4 to 5 takes up
those are big toys.
A fair bit more real estate. Yep, exactly. Mark's a 10 kind of guy as well. And I particularly am envious of his 10 complete snow serpents. I assume they're 10. Maybe they're more. But yeah, beautiful.
You just hit a nerve there. Yeah.
Oh dear. You don't have a complete snow serpent. Oh, Paulie.
No.
You just got to pay the man. Pay those prices that they go for these days. Sorry.
No, man. No, it's no. You touched a nerve at the snow serpent in that is one of the figures I wouldn't mind having more than 2 of. Like, I'd love to have 4 of them as an example, because I think they would look so cool around the wolf, surrounding a wolf, like walking with it or something, or having 4 of them attack a snowcat, that kind of thing. Like, they're really great. And then to add to something that you mentioned earlier, with filling up the scenes and the backgrounds and stuff, I find that you really appreciate having more than one of the same figure when you want to do a kind of a shot. You want to have a shot of like I did it quite a bit when I got my Alley Vipers, but just trying to take a photograph and trying to tell a story with like one character in there that's like a faceless character. It's kind of, you kind of feel the need. You're like, oh, I wish I had another one of these. And that's like the beauty of like army building. So I feel like if you do have multiples, it really does help the scene, as you guys were mentioning before. But yeah, man, snow serpents are definitely something I'd love to troop build or army build, because they're very cool. And I know it's weird, we don't have any snow here, but I just think they're such great figures, actually. And a battle android troop. Actually, let me ask you guys a question. If you guys could troop build, or not if you could, but which figures would you want to troop build? Are there any specific characters you guys would like to troop build in particular?
Well, I mean, like, I already have 2. Okay, well, I need to find another O-ring, but I have 2 bats. I mean, I think I often, but what I'm getting here is that, or at least, I think that 2 of something sometimes is nice, because I only have 2 hands, so I can only do so much with my figures. So I think 2 of those, like 2 Crimson Guardsmen would be cool. I mean, I do have 2, a bit of the kind of like funny sculpt era. I think in general, for me, at least 2 makes sense. Like, because I don't display things so much. So like, I think it wouldn't look so impressive to have a box filled with like 20, like troopers or something. But from what I'm hearing, it sounds like army building is a very personal preference thing. Like, it really depends on the person and what they want to do with their figures. Like, there's no right or wrong way to army build, and that's kind of cool, actually. Everyone has their own way of kind of like approaching it.
So
the trouble with army building is that the price works conversely, counterintuitively, because to build an army, you need deeper pockets than building like an army out of a named character, because everyone everyone has as much hit and run or scoop or flint in their collection as they'll ever need in just one. But there's no ceiling on how many army builders you can get, and so they are priced at a premium as a result. It's a lot more expensive to build out actual army builders than non-army builders. And so, like, I have 1 battle android trooper, and that's just not enough. It never will be.
It never will be.
just not prepared to pay the prices that they command. So you're stuck.
Well,
You're like,
I
oh,
mean, everyone,
got my token back.
everyone understands that army building is obviously a thing. Then, you know, everyone recognizes that this is something that everyone wants to be able to do to a certain degree. And yeah, it's whatever makes sense to you, really.
Is there a weird figure that you always feel a twinge to like hit buy every time you scroll past it? For me, it's Hydro Viper.
Ah,
Yeah, I can relate to that. I have this
I've
thing
got Hydro Vipers all over my bug, so there's still a few untaken slots.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that camp. I've mentioned snow serpents. That's something that always gets my attention. Vipers, I just really like vipers. Like I own 3. I own 3 vintage vipers, which I never thought I'd have, and that's amazing. And I kind of feel like if I get more, the 3 that I have will lose their personalities, you know. But like, yeah, vipers are something that whenever I see them, I'm kind of like, maybe I should put in an offer, you know, like,
I see you, Bob. Bob's talking about stop motion, and he says he has 1 battle android trooper as well, and he'll get knocked out of the frame and immediately appear from the other side, hoping no one notices. Yeah, I've been there, pal. Just keep recycling, keep recycling.
That's like what you call it. What's that? The first time Mario and Luigi appeared in a game, together. That I can't think of the name now. I keep wanting to call it Pipe Dream, but it's not Pipe Dream because we had so many knockoffs of that thing. I don't actually know the proper name for it. But when you run to the left side of the screen, yeah, I think it is actually. And when you walk to the left side of the screen, you come out on the right side. It's like
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so to army builders out there, congratulations. Like, keep it up. Like, it's not easy. We see you. We salute you.
And it's not naughty. Just leave one for the next guy.
Or don't. I mean, it's a cutthroat collecting world.
I just wish that Hasbro would do more for army building, because Steve, you know, I think it's Atlantis Factor. No, it's not Atlantis Factor. It is the first. Yeah, it is Atlantis Factor actually. Where you have all of those Cobra troopers like storming the battle, the Joe HQ, the field HQ thing. That. Yeah, names are not my specialty today. And it looks so cool.
This is why I interrupt you guys so often.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's an itch. I gotta scratch it. Yes, the Cobra Night Watch figures that were storming the GI Joe HQ, right? Okay. Gotcha.
That was so great when Hasbro did that. Like when they did these packs of just
5 army builders. Yeah, exactly.
Right? I wish... I don't want to waste all my wishes on that, but... It would be so cool if they could just revisit that, you know, even with Classified, if they did like 2 packs of Troopers or 2 packs of Vipers or something like that.
3-pack of Vipers. That's
coming, which is cool. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully Hasbro sees it as a lucrative market and keeps doing it and keeps making more for us, especially for the guys who can accommodate that many toys. So, yeah.
Well, with the retro O-ring offerings being quite premiumly priced, I just don't see it happening, man. 2 figures and they're still at like $23, $24 a pop.
Yeah, I have some theories. On that. I still feel like Hasbro is testing that product out and testing the market out. I think that whole line, and I think making it HasLab exclusive, and I was giving it some thought, and also actually Gary V and I was sort of chatting loosely on Instagram just
it's pretty non-committal stuff. I know.
Yeah, it is, but and it feels very like prototypey. Like it feels like we're the guinea pigs, because they've only put it on HasLab. And so the diehards are buying it. So obviously the diehards, well, not obviously, but the diehards tend to have the biggest mouths as well. So there's something wrong. Hasbro's getting immediate feedback on what they can improve on those products. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the true release of the retro O-rings, around the same time that the Sky Strikers actually come out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some, Emily and the other dude tell us that, like, oh, cool, so good news, retro O-rings are coming to stores and blah, 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 blah. And then we'll be like, yay, and our little heads will be like, yay, does Storm Shadow's, like, nunchuck break? And they'll be like, no, and we'll be like, yay, and we'll carry on with life. And then maybe we will get a bit more of a punch behind those releases. Anyway, this is my optimistic, wishful thinking world, provided nothing gets nuked to shit by then. But anyway, yeah, guys, are we
Drones.
good with? Are we good before drones? Actually, if I may, you asked how my week was, and I didn't get a chance to say anything.
That's by design, Paul. That's by design.
No, it shouldn't have been, because there was something important. That's why I wanted to leave it for last. So this week has been pretty nuts because we had Operation Recall, which closed on, for me at least, in terms of timeline. I submitted mine on the Monday. I think it officially closed Tuesday afternoon for us because of timeline. So to everybody who got your submissions in, congratulations. Just submitting your stuff was hard and you kicked butt. And Carson with 3D Joe's released a very cool sneak preview on Instagram. So go and check out the Insta. It should be in their stories. So that's totally worth checking out. It's one of the major reasons my week has been crazy. The other reason is that was working on a very, very cool piece of artwork for something that we're doing for Iconicon. And I don't know if I can say more than that. But yeah, been working on a very cool GI Joe artwork, and that has been part of my week, and it's been nuts. And the Berg Force will be very happy to know that there's some new GI Joburg music coming soon as well, because that's also been happening. Thought you guys might be excited to hear that. To coincide with our international backyard, which is happening. Everybody's discussing. I think this weekend, guys, this weekend, or at least the past weekend, by the time you're listening to this podcast, guys have managed to shoot some footage or get their toys together or whatever's. So that's been happening. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So,
what is International Backyard? Do tell.
What is International Backyard? It's this crazy thing we do where we play with our toys as if we were all in the same space. So we created a bit of a story. And we try not to give people too much detail. And yeah, everybody gets to play out a section of that story. And we try to maintain as much continuity as we can, but we don't really care too hard. And it's just a way for us to play with our toys together. Whether you're in America or Europe or Asia or Africa, if you are part of the International Backyard, we are all playing with our toys together, because what's going to happen is all that video footage is going to be put together in one cohesive, inverted commas, episode. And if you guys want to know what that looks like, we did one called Element X, and it was a heck of a lot of fun, and I think it was quite a success. So here's hoping that our next one is going to be just as, if not more, successful. So
yeah. Alrighty. Cool. Oh yeah. Well, then, I think that brings us squarely on to our primary topic of this episode, drone warfare. Bam!
Ooh.
And I think we're going to take us all the way back and do things chronologically. Yeah. My coffee's wearing off. We're going to go back to 1983 with the Pack Rats. Once again, Carson, you're doing the Lord's work, sir, because we're going to pretty much exclusively be using 3D Joes for this episode. If you are watching the YouTube presentation. We have a missile launcher, a flamethrower, and a machine gun pack rat. And these toys are a mystery to me. Debuting in 1983 and automated, we know that because they don't hold a figure and they come with remotes. These are GI Joe weaponizing Star Wars droids, basically, and making them offensive weapons. They are very effective, but had a very brief time in the sun. They got, I think, screen time in GI Joe the movie, and they had page time in the comic book where Cobra first assaults the GI Joe HQ. Or the pits, basically, on Staten Island. They're used to repel Cobra armor. by first hitting them with missiles, then flaming them, then firing machine gun to mop up the poor emerging
dead.
troops. Yeah, exactly. So very effective weapons, but they were very briefly used. And as a result, I have never endeavored to get them. They've kind of popped on and off like wants lists of mine because they're so neat and they're so complex. They're made up of so many little parts, given
that
their
always freaks
size.
me out. Yeah.
They are little model kits, in fact. I'd love to just get one in hand just to feel that model kit quality, all that creaky little plastic in my hands. So, gents, thoughts on the pack rats?
I think they're quite cool. I think obviously initially they weren't exactly sure what GI Joe was, so they kind of like tried a bunch of different things, and this is one of the things they tried: is these automated units that the GI Joes could deploy against Cobra. They're cute. They're kind of cool, and it's nice that there's 3 different types. You can really
Early
omnibus
Joe
these, I think.
definitely skewed towards like Shield. So this is like
definitely
that futuristic stuff. Like in 1983, drone warfare was a pipe dream, I imagine, a kind of popular mechanics article or 10. But here we see a glimpse of what it could be to have offensive weapons deployed into the field that are automated. How much truth there is to this? Well, we're now seeing how much truth there was to this style of warfare. I'm sure I've seen drones with machine guns mounted to them. But, I mean, mainly the land drones that we've seen are kind of ordnance disposal, right? With grabbing claws.
More than
notably absent
they're actually
here.
attacking. Yeah. Like these are actually attacking units.
Which was the trade-off, because like the philosophy with a lot of GI Joe vehicles is it's good as long as you can jam a figure into it. These things were duds in that regard. Like you couldn't actually have a figure physically interact with the pack rats, but they were totally weaponized. So, you know, like there's the fun factor. These are like strapping missiles to an R2 unit. And I think we're going to rate them. How many R2 units would you give it out of 5? and do you break them up? Like, is there a superior pack rat to you?
I think is the one with like the red cannon. Is that the flamethrower?
That is the flamethrower, and it's got 2 35mm guns on its base.
That's amazing. That's the most useful one. I'm gonna get that one.
Hunter killer
4
right
out of
there.
5. Hell yeah!
That's very aggressive with its tripod tracks.
Because I mean, like
the missile launcher looks like it'll knock itself over. It's got such a narrow base.
It feels like the most useless of them because like you could just have missile emplacements. Because wherever you're going, I mean, jets are gonna usually they're attacking stationary targets. So those stationary targets would typically have missile launchers anyway. I'm guessing. I think it's the most useless one. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5. I hate that thing.
Wow,
it's the worst. It's absolutely
the machine
useless.
gun is kind of in the middle. It's always bothered me that it's had 4 like barrels, 2 of which are fixed forward and 2 of which can elevate. That's bizarre, but fun.
I think
it looks like they always have a bit of a slant downwards.
Yeah, it's like they have to shoot someone right in front of you.
No, shoot people's knees. Just
well, the flamethrower is like burning people's faces off and ripping their guts apart.
As a whole, though, conceptually, I think the pack rats are amazing.
It's a neat concept,
and they have that early '80s like panache of just being a model kit. Like the complexity is so appealing to me. Of course, it now makes them a bitch to compete on the aftermarket, so counts against it. But yeah, I'm gonna set this as a high watermark for me. The pack rats get a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
Cool.
I'm gonna give them. I want to give them a 4, especially because I was today years old when I realized that they came with little controllers. I've never.
Yeah.
That makes them even cooler. Like I just thought, okay, they're completely autonomous, but they can also be remote controlled, and that just adds like an element of fun in terms of play. And I'm quite a fan of drones. I put a drone in my submissions for Operation Recall, so I do like the concept. I also especially like that one with the little wheels. I think it's the cutest one. It looks like it's got little hands. So it goes, hello. You know, I love it. It's so cute. It's just like, hello, I'm going to kill you. It's Noons, man. And
How
I
cool
think to
is it
answer
that like the design cues from the machine gun pack rat get carried over to that all-terrain vehicle? You remember when GI Joe in the cartoon they have those explosive crystals?
Yes, yes.
And they've got
Yeah.
the other Joe's family members to kind of chase after them, run after them,
Captives
basically.
of Cobra, yeah.
Captives of
Oh.
Cobra, thank you, Paul. And the balloon
That I
tires and the
remember.
coloring of that GI Joe vehicle is very much in line with the pack rats. The green, the red accents, and those big old tires that look like they belong in Dune.
I also like what Buttface69 had to say here. Packrat feels like something some units in Command and Conquer were based on. I really loved that. But this is the one that was the kicker for me. Was when he mentioned Israel had drones in the late 70s. They were just used to spoof SAMs and fake aerial strike vectors against Syria and Egypt. And that's cool because, like, Rob, when you were talking about the missile launcher version, that little SAM site, portable SAM, that's actually what I was thinking. A younger me would be like, yeah, it shoots missiles, I can blow stuff out of the sky. The older me is kind of like, it's a decoy. You send that little dude out and you start creating something, you start creating a high value target, and it's a decoy because it can actually shoot those missiles off, maybe. But Cobra doesn't know that. So,
As long as it fires them all at the same time, it'll avoid destabilizing itself too much.
Yeah, no, these are cool. Sure. It's still a 4 R2s out of 5. So no R4. Yeah, no R4 units here. It's an R2.
All right, next up, let's talk a little bit about the Cobra Snake. Now, this is our first bit of contention because it is both considered a drone and a suit of armor. And you can play it one or the other way, but there is precedent for both. In the animated series, they are robots, they're drones. In the comic book, Snake Eyes and Quinn actually occupy them. And I'd suggest that the toy, because it comes with its own little retainer, its little semi-rigid like gray piece.
Internal frame.
Thank you. It's intended to either be worn by one of your very valuable Cobra officers or troopers, or actually just stand on its own as an automated battlefield unit.
Yeah.
But the coolest feature is not a drone feature at all. It's the fact that this is intended to be Cobra's personification of the brainwave scanner in some respects. I mean, this thing is used to
creepy.
To brainwash its occupant into working for Cobra. So it's this captive device that turns your own troops against you. It's a fascinating piece of equipment.
It's an Iron Maiden, but yeah.
I'm going to give this a 5 R2s out of 5 as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been coming up right out of the gate. Super strong.
Before there was Battle Android Trooper, there was the Snake. And I quite like its clunkiness. The fact that it can accept a figure inside, that's like the stuff of dreams, man. We have not seen that being done, not nearly enough. I think, like, powered armor, why is this not a staple of GI Joe and Cobra? Like, why is the Snake kind of a bit of a white elephant? It's its own thing and hasn't been really duplicated.
I think because it's such a crazy concept and it's such a I don't know, like nefarious or like almost like evil concept, especially when you consider them
super insidious, dude.
Their own, them putting in like innocent people in there and then sending them out. And it's armored enough for it to be able to obviously get a mission done, but not so much so that it's indestructible. So that if you are attacking it, but you know that there's an innocent person in there, what do you do? What do you do?
Yep.
That's the interesting thing.
It's insidious.
But I think they missed a trick by not having a big glass front to show off the occupant.
Because like struggling and going crazy in there.
It was ridiculous. In the comic book, Larry, bless his cotton socks, he had to rely on like that Joe's recognizing the signature way that the snake arm is moving. It's like, that looks like Snake Eyes' signature walk.
You mean this
hold your
clunky
fire.
armor?
Oh man, but the imagination races because a terrific use coming from the Berg Force is that he thought the snake armor was a very intricate undersea suit, and that's something that hadn't occurred to me. But certainly as a child, that may very well be your go-to. It's like I recognize what this can do. This can be my deep sea diver's outfit. And particularly 1983, when you didn't have a Cobra diver at that stage, yes, you could plumb the bottom of the ocean in this outfit.
That's absolutely.
Well, it's got breathing apparatus, so yeah.
Yeah, it's very varied. The use of this toy
looks
itself
pressurized.
Whatever you want it to be, essentially, a robot, a prison, armor, a sea thing. Yeah, I probably give this a 4 out of 5 too. Actually, I think it's versatile, and it suggests so much. Its existence. But yeah, I would definitely say to
weapon
drone,
storage is not a strength of this thing.
I never thought to do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
to have them
neither.
Stuck to the back, protruding. I suppose you have rear firing capabilities now. But,
I just put them in there with the inner frame, so my snake armor has a cool rattle sound. If I shake it. Guys, I gotta say, snake armor or snake battle armor has really crept into my heart. I got that cool one when we went to JoeCon. To JoeCon, we got that black one from one of our supporters. And then I got a white one, which I bought from a local collector, and I love that thing. It's so cool. In fact, my first sort of blushing with it was Steve's, and I was like, this thing is rad. It's like properly cool. It's a great toy. It also like sort of harkens. When I say harkens back, I think a lot of the design cues for this were taken from Starship Troopers, from the book.
Right.
And some of the sci-fi illustration, or some of the illustrations done based on Starship Troopers back in the 70s. I think it's 60s or 70s, because that mech is it does look so much like that mech in a lot of ways. Show us the next drone, David.
In 1984, we got the Cobra Claw. Dun, 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 dun.
5.
The covert light aerial weapon. 5, absolutely. It's a
Right at the
misnomer
gate.
because a lot of people don't regard it as a drone, but if you store the bomb, you can't have an operator, so it's got to be able to fly autonomously. I certainly enjoy using it as an autonomous weapon because it's just very, very small and very, very dangerous for its occupant. I mean, essentially, you're landing face down in the dirt, and nothing's really holding your legs up, actually. Gravity would be pulling your legs down the whole time. There's no, backboard onto which the figure's legs are being restrained.
You have to have abs of steel, dude.
God. What do they call it? That's not a plank even. That's I don't know, that's an acrobatic maneuver where you hold your legs tight. But yeah, look, it's got so much going on for it within such a small frame. Once again, that design philosophy of giving you a model kit. Even these lower price point, smaller toys had a top side, a bottom side, and various pieces that attached into it to give it articulation points, slide out wings, ailerons. It's so good. There's an engine or a hatch cover, a sort of equipment cover that you can lift up to see some machine gun detail under there. So good. Also, 5 out of 5 from me.
And then strap a bomb on it, and it's just love it so much. And if you have the 84 Storm Shadow, it's actually got a ninja dropping action as well. You just put Storm Shadow on, you fly around with it, and the ninja will randomly just fall off it. It's great.
He is the perfect occupant for this. Absolutely.
He really is, but he doesn't stick to it properly. It irritates me.
Maybe your version.
This is probably the most drone-like, or at least compared to what today we consider, what we think of as drones. It's a flying vehicle. In 84, it can drop bombs. It has missiles. This is the most
has a
real
gun.
World. Yeah, it has a gun. It goes crazy.
When we were Oh, sorry.
I don't own
Yeah.
this, so yeah, I'm gonna probably give it like a 3 out of 5. If I owned it, I'd probably give it a 5.
Probably. I think you would.
It's cute. It's small. It's just big enough. You know, it doesn't have to, a vehicle doesn't have to be huge to be a lot of fun to play with. You know, it's how you.
I actually find vehicles like this that you can hold in your hand to be some of the most fun vehicles in GI Joe. Like that you can hold in a single hand and sort of keep on your person. To be like you could have like sneaky missions with it while having meetings and stuff. When we were at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in DC, there was a drone there, and that drone, I believe, if my memory serves on reading it, was test flown, or they did test flights for it in '87, which means they were probably testing it from the '70s already.
Look, the earliest I've heard talk of drones was in the Second World War, where they had, a bomber. I think it was a B-25 Mitchell. I'm hazy. Maybe some military historians can help me in the comments. But it was being used for target practice. They had radio-controlled aircraft. They wanted to perhaps use them in warfare, but the radio control wasn't reliable enough. But I mean, as far as a workable drone for the purpose of target practice is concerned, that works. The technology has been refined, from then right up till now. So it's been out there. Probably only really becoming workable in the 70s. I know the SR-71 had its D-21 drone, which I don't think they ever got to work properly either. Like they did 2 test flights, the one wound up flying all the way into China and didn't come back. Yeah, exactly. Crashed out somewhere in enemy territory or unfriendly territory.
You guys can keep it.
Yeah, there we go. Phase 69's got us. There was a radio-controlled series of bombers used for aerial and AAA gunnery training in World War II. Yes, very good.
Wow.
But none of them could land. They're real good at taking off, just shoddy at landing.
I read a quote the other day where it was it had to do, because I can't quote it like properly, but it was when somebody had it's an inventor who had unveiled radio control technology for cars, like a little vehicle, a little wheeled vehicle, and he had shown it off, and the first response to it was, this thing's use in war would be priceless. And he actually pulled it away from them. He actually went. He was just like, well, then you're not ready for it. And that's also so that shows you like how much drone war, or how long drone warfare has been considered for modern warfare as well.
Well, absolutely. Technology is being choked all the time because of other competing interests. Like big oil didn't want us to have electric cars, even though we could have had them decades ago. Light bulbs that are long lasting also. Anyways, getting off the topic.
And that's not
the claw
conspiracy theory stuff.
Absolutely a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 20 out of 20 stonker of a vehicle.
And worth army building.
Yes.
If you have a Pterodrome, you can get at least 2.
As drones. I mean, this is your proto drone. Absolutely. And jet powered. Because, of course, fuel consumption isn't a thing in the G.I. Joe universe. That's how we have things like Trouble Bubbles and Skyhawks.
And speaking of Trouble Bubbles...
Oh, yeah. It's time, guys.
Yeah. It's the Dove Man.
If the claw is a 5 out of 5, do you give any less to the Cobra Flight Pod? Cobra Flight Pod.
You know why I give it 5?
Whoa.
Yeah. I know. I'm not holding back. You know why I can give it 5? Because I can hold a claw in my right hand and a flight pod in my left hand. I can have double fun. So, yeah.
It feels more. It feels more sci-fi, and it feels more like I don't know. It feels more like Cobra when you see a travel bubble. So I think it's probably a very iconic thing for them, and it's used in all of the media. I think it's a fantastic addition.
Flight pod, we're stepping on hallowed ground. I mean, it's never been used as a drone, but the fact that it has that mine that basically occupies the operator's seat suggests that it must be able to fly autonomously. And
Yeah,
since
I've
it is
always
a
thought that.
suicide mobile, why would you ever want to put a person in it?
Or at least,
I mean,
why would you want
if
to
you're
put a
shooting
person
at
in it
someone,
again?
if you're shooting at someone, they can presumably shoot back. And this thing is just a giant target
It
exposed.
can't be
nerve.
maneuverable enough, yeah, to keep you safe. I think
It's actually
it
properly
definitely has to be
evil.
more of a drone than yeah. This could be the advanced version of the snake, actually.
Because the thing is, like, if you break this toy down into its parts, right? You've got the backpack, the back section, which you can. I can't remember on the vintage one if you can remove it, but I know on the modern re-release you can remove the back portion, right? And
On some, it's a little
essentially
bit
the
too
boosters.
easily removable. I think
Removable,
if you've
yeah.
lost like plastic friction over time, it can just slide out. It's a straight up and down slot. So I've actually super glued mine in.
Yeah,
Naughty,
Okay,
I
cool.
know,
Well,
but
I'm
like
just-
they fall out too easily on mine.
So the play pattern, although the way that I could see it being quite well, not the way I can see it, the way I've played it every now and then, is you've got the little bomb in there, and then it can do like the whole suicide thing. So it can just go in guns blazing. All of the guns go full auto. It deploys those two missiles, softens whatever target it's going at, and then it goes straight into the point that it softens. So maybe it's hitting like a bunker or something, or a tank or whatever, and it's hit the hole and it's hurt the armor, and then it just like plows right into that. The other side of it is it could fly, and then the little boosters just jettison, and this thing's got the mine inside it, and it just drops it on top of a tank or on top of enemies. So instead of like launching it there, it's just kind of going me, and then the little jetpack goes off, and the jetpack goes all the way somewhere else, and the little pod just goes bunk. So that's how I've also played it. It's a fun little vehicle. I dig it, and I love it. Like if you squint at it a little bit, especially now as you've got it on screen, it kind of looks like a little helmet as well, like a little angry.
Oh,
Cobra
it's an
Commander
icon,
helmet.
man.
I love
I've
it.
always scratched my head as to the use of the aerial mine. What is an aerial mine? I mean, it looks like a nautical mine, if you ask me. But if you can give it some kind of anti-gravity properties, then Mark van Leeuwen has the answer for you. That he uses the flight pods, also as drones, to bring the mines to their hovering locations. So these mines basically are established as like a kind of as you would have in the oceans, like just a kind of to deny access. Like they're
Like a depth
placed in
charge.
strategic, well, it's placed in strategic positions and create this kind of net of highly explosive stuff, a barrier to protect something. Like that's very cool. And I've seen Mark in his dire stories use it as such to create this kind of net of destruction. I never had that kind of imagination as a child, sadly. Damn it.
If only we could go back.
Oh. It's also such a great like playset piece as well. Like you don't necessarily have to put a guy into it at all. I mean, aside from it being autonomous and a drone, a remote control, blah blah blah. But you can take it apart in so many fun ways that you could actually have these great moments of like Cobra troopers like going, as part of their like training, they have to be able to field strip one of these, and assemble it. Like
Never mind
they
actually
probably come in
operating them.
boxes. Never mind operating
Tricky
them.
thing to fly. I mean, imagine how
Yeah,
sensitive
they have
it
the
must
illusion of
be.
control.
There's just no. It's just two gigantic jet engines strapped to your back. It's like it's a jetpack essentially. But the Dio options are great, particularly if you have a Terradrome. I mean, it has a fuel port. It's designed to go with the Terradrome. Definitely.
Yep.
That and the ferret.
I'd even give it an extra R2. I know. I know. I just said that. Because there's something in Metal Gear Solid that is highly reminiscent of the flight pod that you fight in Metal Gear Solid 3. And when I saw that, I was that meme, with Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and pointing at the screen. I was that moment when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, it's a trouble bubble. Because that actually really cements how scary those things could be in a battlefield situation. Because they're not easy to kill either. So, yeah, especially
Just
when
like
you're trying to
that
sneak
Metal Gear
around.
Solid, it looks like it's from the 60s, man. It's gigantic
Love
hair
it.
dryer, that kind of neo-futuristic, the Jetsons kind of technology. Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. There's some toys that you can just hear. I mean, you know this thing is fucking loud.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on to 1986. We have our first figure for consideration. It is the Battle Android Trooper. They finally made a humanoid drone. Of course, it was Cobra to do it first. And to my knowledge, GI Joe hasn't done androids, but I could be wrong. Anyways, the Battle Android Trooper got on the scene in '86, and Cobra's never looked the same since. Love it or hate it, this is... I mean, it should have a more profound effect on the struggle than it actually did. I mean, these guys became relegated to foot soldiers in the same way Vipers and Troopers were. But, like, the fact that Cobra has these drones, this cannon fodder, that is a huge, huge technological leap in their favor. I think this would tip the scales of the conflict. To not have to commit flesh and bone humans to particularly dangerous assignments. This is, I mean, if all you need is an overwhelming force to take a position, you just send in the bats, man.
Yep. Send in the bats.
And then Joe just sends in their pack rats.
Now you see, like, there was a novel that I was actually just discussing with a friend where it's a science fiction and it's set so far in the future that, like, destructive weapons obviously have outpaced everything. I mean, it's a space kind of science fiction, so there's the epic space battles where, like, if one nuclear weapon flies into your hits your ship, that's it. So basically, these conflicts are being are being won or lost by drones, which are sent out into the battlefield, and they just fight down to the last drone, and whichever one gets through scores a fatal hit on the opposing force and wipes them out. So, like, GI Joe could have very much pivoted towards that kind of, like, basically the conflict is won or lost by our autonomous drones. Because if one of these guys gets into your HQ and delivers the knockout blow, that's it, man.
Yeah, it's
over.
finished. Which is probably why they moved away from it, actually, to focus more on, like, the variety of Joes and Cobra that you could get.
I mean, you could have these, like, piloted by, like, Cobra Trooper or whatever's, and they could play it up as a video game. They could use one of these things as if they're playing a video game. You know, going through places and getting its feed, its camera feed, and yeah, it's like a first-person shooter. Because that's essentially, you know, where warfare would go if we were this advanced with cyborgs or androids. So.
Yeah.
Well,
by proxy,
needless to say, it is a 5 out of 5 figure. It is a top 10 eternally. There's no ways I could give it any less than 5 R2D2s because the coloring, the design, the feature, the lenticular, everything about this toy is utter perfection.
All magic.
Yeah.
All magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any of us is giving it less than 5 R2s, right, Rob?
Oh, for sure. I definitely think this clears R2 all the way out. It's just such a cool concept, and it looks awesome. They knocked it out of the park when they came out.
I love that.
Yep.
Bats are epic. A dump truck full of R2s for me, says Gaz.
Well, it's unanimous, gents. The Battle Android Trooper, need we say more? And also just furthering the drone warfare of GI Joe versus Cobra. Like, this is the next
What about a bat
in the evolution?
in a snake?
Whoa.
Or,
bubble.
guys, it's time to get onto another controversy. We're going to now talk about the... Oh, jeez. Where is it? Ah, there we go. We're now going to talk about the Firebat.
Oh.
Which comes with a pilot, but has been referred to as a drone in multiple sources and is used as such in the comic book. In its debut issue, Mainframe operates it from a Terradrome on the ground. without a pilot. And I'm pretty sure it intercepts a Conquest X-30 in a later issue in the 50s without a pilot. It is then used, several issues after that, to transport the brainwave scanner from Sierra Gordo to the Cobra consulate in New York. And obviously, with the brainwave scanner occupying the seat, it's flown without a pilot. So almost single-mindedly, it is a drone exclusively in the comic book. AVAC never made an appearance. The cartoon series tells a different story. I don't think it was ever used without a pilot. So where do you guys sit on this toy?
I've always felt it was. Well, I've always felt it was a drone as well. Like yes, you could put someone in there, but it's such a weird little thing, you know. It feels too small to be able to be pilotable by a person, you know, easily.
I swing from the other side of that, in that
Ooh.
I don't see it as a drone. I know it is a drone, but because it's got a canopy and because AVAC is included, my brain is just like, yeah, it's a pilotable craft, you know. But if you really lean hard into the drone side, I suppose AVACs are probably worse punishment for Cobras than being a Toxo Viper.
Yeah, I mean, they literally,
Yeah.
they probably aren't even actually Cobra. Those are like, this is the next advancement of the snake armor technology. You know, they pop them into these suits, they're brainwashed, and then they just throw them in there, and it's like, go get them. Ah.
Yeah, or like it could be a great torture device. You know, you put someone there in like a suit, and then you whiz this thing off at like high G's. You make the poor person as sick as all hell, you know, and then you get your answers, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I
don't
think
know.
just because there's no like consensus across like different media as to what this is, it makes it's definitely a very controversial piece. Then, like the comic books insist it's definitely a drone. The animated series are like, this is definitely a tiny plane.
And the toy, because it doesn't have an alternate setting or anything else to go in the cockpit, you know, with the claw, with the flight pod, you had a bomb.
Yeah, something to place in there instead. Yeah,
which purely on the toy level suggests that it is a drone, whereas the Firebat has no alternate thing to put in the cockpit other than AVAC. So at least the toy suggests that it's not a drone. I don't know, man. It's hell of a dangerous. This thing gives me German Messerschmitt Comet vibes. It's like something that is meant to fly off and not meant to come back.
It's a cool little design. I like the you know that you can fold the wings in.
It is stunning.
I have no idea how
so
you
fun
beautiful.
Toy.
But I mean, a little bit more evidence for it being a drone is the fact that the engine is right behind the operator's head. So much like the Thunder Machine, if you operate this thing, you're not likely to maintain your hearing for very long.
You gotta tell the guy the mission before he even gets in it, and there's no training. You cannot train someone to use this thing.
Kamikaze weapon, most likely.
Exactly.
I love this. Guy says, I look at it as one of those mini jets like the one flown by James Bond in the opening of Octopussy, just weaponized by Cobra. Mark van Leeuwen says, it is used without a pilot in lights, cameras, action, where it transports a knocked-out shipwreck to a Cobra base.
Okay, so the cartoon also used it as a drone. Excellent.
They acknowledge that it can be used both ways.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Hell yeah, we're winning.
Buttface 6'9", I would fly one.
What? What did you say? I'd fly one. What did you say? Yeah. Some heavy hearing protection there, Buttface.
Joy Smith, I think I remember an episode of the cartoon where an unmanned Firebat picked up someone and took them back to the Cobra HQ. And Mark was like, yes, shipwreck. So, yeah. And then I also like, Bob Squad, it's a gorgeous red and it just looks like it's fast. Yeah, it's because it's red, right? It also looks like it's cherry flavored. But let's not go there. And Darren Cobb, it is a drone that can be used to transport someone who may not be able to fly an aircraft.
Yeah,
that seems to be the general consensus of this in our chats. You know, with
So
how
I think
it was
everyone's
used in the
against
cartoon,
you,
etc.
Paul.
Everybody's
They're all
like, it's a
against you.
drone.
It's definitely
It's a drone. You're wrong.
Paul doesn't know what he's talking
Okay.
about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
As an airplane, how much do you rate it, Paul?
Oh, dude, I love this little vehicle, but I only loved it because I got it with my Terradrome. So I'd give it like a good solid 3.5 R2s. So like 3 R2s and an R4. Yeah.
I'd probably go with like 3-ish, because like it's fun to kind of like fly around, but like I don't know what to do with it most of the time. You're just kind of like throwing it around essentially. Like it's too fast to have fun with, I think.
I never liked it because it didn't have landing gear that I understood.
How do you land?
However, I mean, we're now living in an age where I think we can all, in our mind's eye, picture aircraft landing on their tails like this. Like it is a technology that has been experimented with. It hasn't been put into service as far as I can tell, but I can recall seeing aircraft landing on their tails, and I'm like, wow, it looks hell of awkward, but it's possible, and it's certainly something that Cobra, with their, I suppose, lower regard for human life, would have no problem with. So yeah, look, it's crazy. It is a bare bones interceptor craft. Like it's just a weapons platform with little regard for anything else. So in that sense, it is perfection, and it is perfect for Cobra. So I'm going to give it another perfect 5 R2D2s out of 5.
Steven loves drones.
Do you guys
unstoppable? I want one. And I was today years old when I realized that Lightfoot's little explosive ordnance disposal droid was supposed to drive with the lenticular facing rearwards. I always thought that was the face.
That kind of makes sense.
But the card art, the card art makes it look like it's supposed to go the other way around. Ha, ha, ha. All right, guys. Lightfoot is the first GI Joe figure entry on the list from 1988 because he came with a little red robot, which presumably he controls using that handle gizmo, which I think also would double as a metal detector or some kind of explosives detector, chemical, biological, whatever. This guy's equipment is a fucking mystery to me, man. It needs proper explanation because I had it as a kid. Manual. It was absolutely mystifying. Like, you need to have a Popular Mechanics subscription to wrap your mind around this. I was not a little engineer as a child, and so this guy's primary use for me was that sweet, sweet helmet, making him a member of Mobile Assault Strike Command. I used to play out Mask. Yeah, I think he was Brad Turner to me because of the yellow. So Hocus Pocus mask on. Anyways, guys, the droid, the robot, what does it do? It doesn't have any arms protruding from it.
It gets lost.
What? It just drives into a minefield and hopefully blows up a mine. Like, what does it do? Help me, Chris McLeod, help me.
No, you're our only hope.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, look, even in the pictures, they've pictured it so you can see the lenticular, and it's facing towards us.
I love how
the
3D spin of the 3D Joes actually, like, it shifts the lenticular.
Oh,
as if you were looking at it with your naked eye. That must have taken some doing to get it right.
He has placed it so that the back of it faces forward, or at least the back that we've now discovered.
Yeah, but that's just
actually the back. But it makes sense.
But that's just to make it more interesting, I think.
Look, maybe in the card art, it's returning to Lightfoot. So
no. You want to show.
I've got a theory.
You want to show the cool lenticular.
So, you get these cool gadgets these days. God, did I just use that word? Where if you want to, like, if you are big into DIY and whatever's, and you want to, like, I don't know, drill into your wall, and you're worried about hitting water pipes, you get it's like a little sonar, and you pop it on your wall, and you, like, you know, let it ping, and then it'll sort of give you a rough idea of where pipes and things are. And there are degrees of this, because there are some that are actually quite advanced that it pretty much sees through your wall. And so if I look at the screen on the little drone, you can see it's all pipes and things. So what makes sense to me is that this little drone It's giving off some kind of, it's walking with Lightfoot as he's using that scanner, and that scanner is actually pinging things and getting feedback from the environment around it, and he's getting all of that information on the drone's screen, so he can see and pinpoint if there's bombs or something, that have been like stashed on the boxes
Well, that
or
makes
under a
sense.
vehicle
He
or
kind of
something.
he sends that in first to kind of like,
Yeah.
to kind of like scan the area.
Or just walks with him, yeah, so that he's walking and he's got his goggles, which are maybe I'd imagine are picking up some kind of like heat signatures or whatever's, and he's doing his thing, and then while this little thing's cruising with him, that's like a little laptop that walks with him basically, and then if they're really not sure, they just send that out into what they suspect might be a minefield, and if it blows up, well, then we've saved some lives. So yeah, that's what makes sense to me.
It's a really
Yes.
I mean, I said last week he's a really cool character. But he's a really cool addition to the Joe team. It's cool when they kind of do these non-combat roles. And they seem to put a lot of thought into it,
Also, here's just wow, actually some good comments here. Darren Cobb says, it is made out of the same materials as the black boxes from aircraft. It'll survive any explosion.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Comstock responding to what I said, it's a stud finder. Huh, that's why I don't have one, because I never Google that ever. So what I know, and now I'm too scared to Google it for an image.
Don't you
Studfinder.com. Anyway, because that's not how I roll. And then Darren, ooh, that's good. I like it. That's Mark van Leeuwen responding to Darren's comment about the black box. And then Darren Cobb, you mean a stud finder? Yes, it's a stud finder. That's what it's called. Okay. I don't DIY a lot. Big surprise.
It's a very practical little droid. It works well with him. It makes sense in what he's, in what he's trying to do. And it looks cool. It comes with a lenticular. I'd probably give Lightfoot and his little dude 4 out of 5. I like this
Lightfoot
dude. And he's
and
in
the little
yellow,
dude.
like Scoop. Yeah, together. They're a team. He's the controller. We finally have a drone that actually has the controller of the drone with it. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Doesn't he have a lenticular on his back? No, he doesn't. No.
He does have a lenticular on his backpack. It's incredible. What an incredibly thoughtful and beautifully presented figure and equipment. Absolutely mystifying to a child like myself who only understood like machine guns and grenades
and stuff. Like they actually put so much effort into a non-combatant.
You don't see this kind of guy in a Schwarzenegger or a Stallone film. Anyways, I can't give the drone more than 3 R2 units because while I like its inclusion, I think the execution leaves something to be desired. The monotrack. How does it steer? I mean, the fact that it's one color, like the lenticular is beautiful, but it's molded in one color, so it already lacks some depth, some detail, some visual intricacy. There's a lot of lovely sculpting intricacy. It's kind of lost in that, haze of red.
One color, yeah.
And the monotrack, I'm like, I can't understand how this thing would ever steer. So
it doesn't. He just sends it straight ahead.
You can only go straight. Well, it's that problem with R2-D2. It's like you never see R2, at least not the physical prop, crossing any rough terrain of any kind. Because they had to cut. Like this thing can only move along very smooth, flat surfaces. Great for going around in the Death Star. Not so great for the dunes of Tatooine.
It's weird.
Who cares? He's got jet thrusters.
Yeah, it's so strange. He used them during the Clone Wars, but not later. Weird.
I suppose it could be used to deliver explosives. Mark gave it TNT. Oh no, he gave it the name TNT. Okay, so it's an R2 unit. No, I was thinking once again, trying to think of.
He just gave it TNT. Make it more fun.
Well, it's a nice way of like delivering your margarita, I suppose. And that's all we need to say about that. Let's talk about a vehicle of 1988.
If anybody cares, I give it a 3.
I thought so. We did.
Yeah. Mostly because I think the only reason people in South Africa own that toy is because
there's
and
nothing
I
else.
swear this also it's a theory, but I think the lenticular portion of that little drone was so easy to see through the packaging. You know, I suspect Americans had it the other way around, so you guys didn't see the cool lenticular stuff, and then you were like, it's a lame figure.
I have a slightly different theory, and that's the fact that Lightfoot wasn't a desirable figure, so he was often picked up by grannies, grandpas, parents, birthday presented. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I got mine. That's how I gifted one on to a friend. Like Lightfoot was common because he was undesirable. It's like all that's left is a bunch of Lightfoots. Damn. Let's talk about something that is actually, it's got remote piloted in the name.
Let's talk about RPV. Let's talk about RPV. Let's talk about just how cock it really is. It's the RPV. It gets one from me. The RPV sucks.
It gets one from me. The RPV. Okay.
Sucks.
I will give it a very generous score because I quite like the play pattern of it. That it is a dedicated drone. It makes no bones about the fact that there is no other play pattern to it other than launching a drone. It doesn't come with a machine gun that attaches to the side to make it sort of try and straddle some offensive role. No. This thing is from behind friendly lines, you're launching a drone. Or it's going out very secret mission style to a vantage point, being a mobile unit and launching its drone from there. It has its own radar unit, which created some confusion as a child because I was like, which is the remote piloted vehicle? Is it this little tank thing alongside, or is it the missile? Is it a missile? Is it a drone? If it's a drone, why doesn't it have a camera? Like, it asks so many questions and gets you thinking as a youngster what the hell a drone is and what place it holds in your GI Joe versus Cobra war. So, Rob, Paul's giving it a 1. I'm giving it a 3. What are you going to settle on?
I'd probably go in between those two because, like, I always just thought it's a missile, you know. He drives it out there, he shoots it off because he's going to get blasted in the face by the missile when it launches. But talking about it in the capacity of the show, like, yeah, he would drive it out. He would get off the vehicle when it needs to be, launched, and then shoot it off. It makes a lot of sense. And once again, it's something that you need as part of an army. Like, it's not the same thing they're producing over and over again. But yeah, I wouldn't want to own one of these. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Well, it's the part on the right that Steven's swiveling on the screen now, the little radar drone. That's the part that gets 1 from me. The other stuff gets nothing.
Wow. That's wild. So you like this little radar unit, but the rest of it you're like, ew.
Yeah, this little sandcrawler. Which actually it feels like...
It's got a ladder on the side with small...
I know, I'm looking at that too, and I'm like...
I was about to say it could do with a lenticular, but at least it has individuated left and right tracks, so it can steer. So that's why I like it more than Lightfoot's drone. Look, guys, I find this quite unique, and that's why it gets a passing grade for me. I would say that the Euro coloring is what gets my affections. That's the one that I have. That's the one that I'm familiar with. For anyone unfamiliar with it, it replaces the sort of sand-colored main chassis with a gray chassis, and the drone itself is blue and red instead of white and red. Both drone units, the tracked vehicle and the copperhead turbofan engine remote drone.
1.5.
But yeah, as I say, it needs a camera for me to understand it better. And I know that this was 1988 and drones being commonplace in military use was a ways off. But like, what is this drone's function if not to transmit visuals back to base? Like, I want it to be useful as a drone, and the sculpt doesn't support that. So is it being used to basically deliver this underslung rocket? Which also, like, that sucks because it's just a spear. It's got no fins. What the hell is that?
Yeah, the reason I gave it such a low score is not just because I'm being facetious. Not just. It's because I've always seen this as like, it's a missile launcher. That's how I've always seen it. I've never seen it as a drone launcher. I've never seen that white thing as anything other than a long-range cruise missile. And I got to say, if that's, in my mind, that's what it always was. And I actually prefer the Cobra Adder because I feel like it does a more convincing job of that visually for me. So yeah, that's how it's always read to me. I feel like it's a misunderstood vehicle. Like,
truth. All right,
This
gentlemen,
terrible.
we are going to actually put a cork in it here and make this a two-parter because it seems like
Oh, hell
dun
yeah.
dun dun.
You're
there
really
are
having a
many,
good time with
many
this.
drones. Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of drones in the 90s. So tune in next week for the conclusion to drone warfare. But for now, let's highlight a comment from last week's episode. Robbie?
So people chose. Okay, so it was all about me and all my cool new toys. But then also like people were commenting on the characters that kind of received the less popular characters, as it were. Because I think we kind of discussed that a bit as well. Am I looking at the right episode? The
No,
Joe's
no.
the cartoon missed. No, okay, I'm looking at the wrong episode. Goddamn.
Wah, wah.
Oh. my
So,
goodness. I was looking at the wrong episode. I was like, I've seen these before.
I've got something from the post box, The Pit. This
Hell
one's
yeah,
from
give it to us while
Sammy
I
Smith.
find my favorite quickly.
yeah, so
Yeah. Look, he says that in episode 251, we pondered the origins of Overlord. He's got a theory that Overlord is actually Dr. Mindbender, or specifically, Dr. Mindbender became Overlord. They both have a visual similarity. Both wear monocles on their right eyes. Both are jacked. Both have black hair. Yes, Dr. Mindbender was a chrome dome back in the 80s, but maybe he let it grow in a little bit in the 90s. I mean, we don't know where Mindbender's actual hairline is, and we see that Overlord does have a lovely widow's peak, so it stands to reason that could be a believable hairline for him.
Crap, now I need that toy.
You do. Him and his scratchy Wolverine claws.
Yeah.
And Overlord is said to have risen from the Cobra ranks to reach his position of authority. In addition, Overlord is said to be the only person with enough charisma to unite the different Cobra factions. Well, where have we seen that before? Dr. Mindbender convinced
yeah.
Destro, Baroness, and the Crimson Twins to go along with his plan to create Serpentor. That was objectively a batshit crazy plan. Yet Dr. Mindbender somehow convinced everyone in Cobra High Command to go along with it. Even the comics and the cartoon. Wow. Yeah, no, true. There's a very political
high charisma, hey.
dimension to the good old Dr. Mindbender. Third,
Good lord.
Overlord is dressed like a Greek or Roman general. Remember that when creating Serpentor, Dr. Mindbender raided the tombs of Julius Caesar, Hannibal, and Alexander the Great. In other words, Dr. Mindbender had a pre-existing predilection towards that era in military history. If Dr. Mindbender were to take power, what would his Cobra Emperor costume look like? My guess, pretty close to Overlord's outfit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Mind blown.
Very good.
Thank you, dude.
So characters that weren't included in the cartoons, Matt Little Boy said Outback, and I chose his comment because then he goes on to say, and they could have followed him through the Night Force and Tiger Force. Always loved the 87 Oddbod Cobras. The one thing that annoyed me is they didn't come with guns. Crystal Ball figure with a handgun would have been amazing. And what about some Zanzibar pirate adventures? Like, especially with Shipwreck being such a big feature in the cartoons, Zanzibar would have been so easy to put in there as like his rival or something.
Yeah.
And Outback would have flowed so easily, yes, into Night Force and Tiger Force. But yeah, lots of really cool comments. Like everyone absolutely seems to love Crystal Ball. They all want him to be in the cartoon.
Yay!
And Crockmaster. It's fantastic.
Yay! Well, why not? They're so great. I mean, that's why I suggested them.
Yeah,
Aye.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I think we're going to put a pin in it. Episode 252, Drone Warfare.
Part
My name's
1.
Steve.
My name is Steve.
My name is not Rob, it is Paul.
I am not Paul, I am Rob.
All the humans are dead. We killed
Rob.
all their asses
Robot Rob.
using dangerous gases.
Robot Rob.
All the
Berg.
humans are dead.
Berg.
What's that?
Bird.
That's Flight the Concords,
Berg,
right, Paul?
Berg.
It took me a while.
That's correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's correct.
0 0
And it's
0
all-
0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 1 1
0 0 0 0 0 Berg.
Okay.
Burgity
Losing listeners by the second. Check you next week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in once again, and also thank you always to the Berg Force. You guys rock our world. Much appreciated. If you want to become a GI Joburg Berg Force member, check out patreon.com. Link in the description below. Also,
join these awesome people.
We got merch.
We got merch. We got t-shirts.
Hell yeah.
They're cool t-shirts.
And hoodies.
It's all there.
Yeah. And soon there's gonna be some cool prints. A cool print.
I love me a prince.
Yeah, a big print.
Me love you long time. Thanks for joining us, and see you next week.
Hell yeah. We'll be droning on some
Will
more.
I dream, Dave?
Brr.